Hey, good afternoon, everybody, or good morning, depending upon what part of the world you're in, or good evening. We're global. So in any case, this is Tech Tuesday. It's another session of IAEI News Live. My name is Thomas Dimitrovich, and today this is a recorded session. I'm here at the Nfpa annual meeting in Las Vegas, Nevada. Today we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on here today and maybe a few other things as we journey through some of the certified amending motions and notices of intent to make a motion. If NITMAM and CAM don't make any sense to you, you're going to want to stay tuned and listen to this session. So let's get started. It all starts now. All right, so it's amazing that it is June. I can't believe we're halfway through the year. It's just, this year is going so fast. I don't know about you, but it just seems like there is so much to do in so little time. We are on the edge of public inputs for Nfpa 70, the National Electrical Code. We're on the verge of the second draft meetings for Nfpa 110 and 111. We have the first draft meeting coming up for Nfpa 73 for electrical inspections for existing dwelling units. There's just so many things going on at the same time that, I don't know, it's just hard to keep up. So in any case, hopefully you're keeping up with all of the things that are going on at IAEI. I hope you saw the new new name change. The acronym is staying the same. Mr. Rudy Garza has a really good video out there that explains the name change and all of that jazz. I think that we're starting to, as an organization, grow and recognize that there are so many valuable people that are a member of this organization that come from all different backgrounds that you don't want to leave any one of those out. We're inspectors, we're designers, we're installers, we're maintainers. We are, from an IAEI perspective, a very diverse and broad group of individuals that work together to increase safety in the electrical industry. So don't ever forget that. We do a lot of work around increasing electrical safety. That's anywhere from public inputs to influence change in the electrical industry for the betterment of the industry for safety. And we also create a lot of educational materials and are a resource for you. So if you're not a member of IAEI, please take a time to reach out to a member, go to a local chapter meeting, a division meeting, section meetings. The section meetings are coming up pretty soon. We'll take a look at what's going on in that regard here in a few minutes as well during this session. So and those of you who are IAEI members like myself, thank you. And as I'm sure you, as do I, value my membership and all that I've been able to gain out of being a active participant with the IAEI. All right, all right. So as I said earlier, when we started this, I'm recording this session. I'm at the I'm here in Las Vegas, Nevada, and we are. This is the annual meeting for NFPA. Every June, NFPA has a very large conference. There are technical papers, there are presentations that are being that you can participate in. There is an awesome trade show. And what's really cool about walking the trade show floor is that you get a different perspective. There are, it's focused on safety. Now remember, NFPA is more than just electrical safety. If you're watching this, you probably know the NFPA for the National Electrical Code for a lot of the electrical aspects of what we live and breathe and do every day. But NFPA goes far beyond that with safety in many other areas. So when you go down to a trade show floor here, you're going to see electrical safety, but you're going to see a lot of other providers, solution providers, whether they be it's not just manufacturers. There's IAEI has a booth. There are other organizations that all participate in the safety world. The Electrical Safety Foundation International, ESFI, Brett Brenner himself was here on the floor. I managed to pass by his booth, and as usual, very busy. So, maybe I'll try to get some good shots of people and share with all of you on a later session. But in any case, the NFPA annual meeting is where we usher in new documents that have completed their cycle. They've been worked on for the last 3 years. They had a public input. They had a first draft. They had a second draft, public comments, which led to a second draft. This is the annual meeting. So if you think about it, there are 3 opportunities. 3, I would say 4, possibly 4. Depends on how far you're willing to go. 4 opportunities to change the direction or influence change in a code or a standard that NFPA is processing. The first is the public inputs. And you know what we'll do? Let's do this. Let me show you something. I'm going to call up a web page, nfpa.org. Yep, and it worked. All right, so let's do this. We're going to go out on a limb here. I got my handy dandy switcher. All right, so there we go. You got to love this. Mobile life. I'm telling you, when you're on the road and you want to share information, it can be difficult sometimes. I wanted to go, let me just give you let me just say, I wanted to go live from the booth this morning here in Las Vegas for a 12 o'clock Eastern time slot. I'd have to go live at 9 o'clock a.m. and they won't let us into the trade show before 9 a.m. It opens at 9 a.m. So I wasn't able to, I wanted to go into the booth while there's nobody in the trade show and just sit and speak from the booth, but I didn't have the opportunity to do that. Maybe I can, maybe at some point this week we'll be able to get that done. But, you know, we are able to adjust on the fly, and that's why I'm recording this. So here we go. If you go to NFPA or nfpa.org/70, and if you go 70 next, that takes you straight to the next edition of the National Electrical Code. Now, we're already taking public inputs for the 2026 edition, but here's what I like about this page, is it gives us a sense of the flow, of the process of developing an NFPA standard. You've got your first draft, which is where we make our public inputs. And then what happens is the public inputs then become, they are reviewed by the committee, and they'll publish a first draft. When the first draft is published, that is when you and the general public can all go in, and myself, we can go in and make comments. And that's the second draft stage. You submit a public comment. Now they have the dates here, which is kind of nice, gives you the schedule. So you see public inputs closed on September 7th. And the second draft, the public comments close October 28th of 2024. And remember, this is a 2026. So in between August 28th, after the public comments are closed, and before the second draft report posting of March 21st, we'll have our committee meetings. So that gives you sort of a time frame. And this is when we review all of the different code making panels, 18 of them, will review the public comments. Then, if you still didn't get what you wanted, if you said, look, they sort of did what I wanted in the first draft, but then in the second draft, somebody came along and undid what I wanted, I'm going to put a notice of intent to make a motion. Or let's say that they didn't do what you wanted in the first draft or second draft, and you want to make a notice of intent to make a motion, you can file paperwork on that as well. So there's multiple reasons that you might want to argue a NITMAM. This meeting, here at the annual meeting, those NITMAMs will have to be certified, and we'll show you what's going on with the schedule for this week. But those NITMAMs will have to be certified, and you have to pass the rules and regulations to be able to make a NITMAM. And then if it's certified, then it becomes an item to be voted on here at the annual meeting. And you know, I just had this, I've got this, what just popped in my head is, where's my badge? I can't remember what I did with it. Anyway, I was going to show you my badge, but if you are a member between, for at least 6 months, then you will be a voting member. So if you come to the annual meeting and you register and you pay and you show up, you'll get a badge, and the badge will either say a voting or non-voting member. If you're a voting member, then when you go to this meeting, which will occur on Thursday, where these certified amending motions will be argued and heard, then you can vote. Now, if you're not a voting member, you can still speak. They don't stop you from going to a microphone to voice your opinion on an item. You just can't cast a vote. So in this, when this happens at the meeting on, like, say, Thursday, it'll go until they're done. And I know in some cases it's gone well past midnight on NEC cycle changes. And then what will happen is they'll put the certified amending motion and the language that if it passes, they'll have the language on the screen, and if it fails, they'll have the language on the screen so you can see exactly what you're voting on. You also have access, and it's all published well before, so you can have your thought process down and your arguments ready for the floor. And then when they bring it up, the person who's submitting it speaks his mind, explains his position, and then each of those who are either for or against, they have microphones, and you stand either at the for microphone or the against microphone, and you make your arguments. And then when all of the arguments are done, or if somebody calls the question, gotta love that, we vote. And if it passes, then, so here's the thing, a lot of people think, well, you know, if I want to say that the code panel did not accept language in the first draft, they didn't accept language in the second draft, or they accepted it in the first and they took it out in the second draft, and you want to put it back in again, the vote from the floor, all it does is sends that certified amending motion back to the code panel, and they have to vote on it. It doesn't mean they're going to accept it. It doesn't mean they're going to reject it either. So they will review the fact that the membership wants that language in, and they'll vote. And it has to get, I think it needs to get 3/4. I can't remember. We'd have to check the bylaws to see if it needs 2/3 to pass or 3/4 to pass at the code panel. But in any case, you're not done yet. You would still have to go back to the code panel members, and you might want to connect with individuals on that committee to say, look, here's my position, here's what's going on, here's why it passed from the floor, here were some of the arguments. Educate the committee members, because they may not be there, right? Especially like from an NEC perspective, not every code making panel member goes to the annual meeting. So you still will want to, if you really want that change to be put into the code, you'll have to do your due diligence and educate. The other route is if they're going to delete language. That can typically happen right there at the floor. Doesn't have to go back to the code panel. And there are rules on this. So, and hopefully before our hour is over, I'll show you the links by showing this webpage right here. All right, so this is nice because it shows you the process. You have the first draft, second draft, the certified amending motions. There's your first draft committee information. You'll see, if you hit show more, it shows you your first draft meeting agendas, items, and all that jazz. And then if you scroll down, you'll have other committee information. These are all of the tentative interim amendments. Tentative or temporary? I don't know. Tentative or temporary. They both mean the same word. They both have the same definition, I would hope. But in any case, these will then become public inputs for the next draft. I always forget, is it tentative or temporary? I think it's tentative. Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat down below. This is a recorded session, but you can still chat it up. Is it temporary or tentative? All that jazz. Code making panel 1. These are your tentative interim amendments for code making panel 1, panel 2. Remember, this is other information. So if you keep scrolling, this is the next edition. If I go to the current and prior editions, you'll see all of the similar information. So there's your issued amendments. Here's your Standards Council decisions. Now, that's the last, I forgot. That's your last chance. So let's say you did the first draft, you did the second draft, you went to the annual meeting, you argued from the floor, you actually cried at the microphone, and you still didn't get what you want. The last step in the process is an appeal to Standards Council. Now, Standards Council, remember, Standards Council is over a lot of different documents. They're not technical. This is more of an appeal to Standards Council is the process wasn't followed. We believe that the process was broken, something like that. You're not going to stand in front of Standards Council and say, the temperature rise of this piece of equipment exceeded to 23 blah, 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 blahs. And you're going to go on with a technical argument. And, if you look at the third order partial differential and take the Laplace transform of that, and then you'll get this value. Now, it ain't going to happen. When you're standing at Standards Council, you're going to be talking about at the first draft, there were no public inputs in the first draft on this topic. On the second draft, there were public comments that did not have prior information. That was the first time, and the procedures tell you need 2 reviews. You can't have new information, and it was accepted, etc. You're looking at process, okay? You're looking at procedures. Any procedure violations, process violations, things like that. So that's your last chance to change the course of history. So anyway, now let's take a look. If you want to know what's going on at the technical meetings, what you'll do is you can go to Codes and Standards. When you go to the main webpage for NFPA, you go to Codes and Standards, nfpa.org. You'll see Standards Development section. How the process works. Really great information to help you understand the process. But there is a link here that's called Technical Meeting. I don't know if you see it right there. I can't. It's right there. Technical meeting. You click on that. That will take you to this, and then this is what the technical meeting sort of looks like, right here. I mean, you've got a stage up above. You've got the individual standing at the podium who's going to be calling on those who are voting on the technical committee. You've got Standards Council members and whatnot sitting here recording everything. There's a stenographer, the whole bit, right? So if you scroll down a little bit on this page, you'll see some frequently asked questions. This document, things you need to know about the 2023 annual meeting. They give you the overview. The event will begin with awards at 8 a.m., then move on to the orders of the day, hearing, acting upon certified amending motions. Remember we talked about that, including the annual 2023 report of motions committee, etc. Where can I find the rules? And they give you a link right here for the regulations, so you can go to the regulations. And remember I told you, if you go, let's do that. I told you that we might take a look at that. So there's the regulations and policies, all right? And then you have regulations for the development of standards, guide for conduct, technical meeting, convention rules. Look at that. Oh my gosh, there's a whole document. Determination of proper motions, restating and grouping the motions. So there's your meeting agenda, your sessions, and I'm just going to do this, so I'm going to scroll really fast. Oh, it's a pretty short document. It's very, very short. So they got the amending motions, certified amending motions, see the regulations at 4534 through 4536. So this is the parliamentary motions and actions. So the adjournment of each session shall take place only upon the completion of the scheduled agenda, etc. So that is your NFPA meeting convention rules. You got the guide for conduct of participants. So there are rules you need to follow when you're at the annual meeting. When you go to the microphone, I'm telling you, I am bad at this too. You're supposed to state your name, what company you're representing, and whether you're for or against the motion. I can't tell you how many people go to the microphone and just start talking. Or they'll say, hi, my name's Thomas Dimitrovich, I'm with Eden, and I was looking at this public input, and then the person up at the stage will say, well, you have to state your motion. And here's why you have to state the motion. There's a stenographer. And the stenographer is typing words. They can't type a gesture. They can't say he nodded his head, yes, or anything like that. You have to verbally say what you're thinking. And so you have to state your name, you have to state your position, and then move into your arguments. So in any case, they tell you here, you should act honestly and in good faith with a view to the best interest of NFPA and the NFPA standards development process, etc. So these are just rules for those. So if you're interested in okay, what am I supposed to do? What can I do? These will give you the guidance to help you move into the annual meeting. So that's a resource available for you. Regulations governing NFPA standards. So now this is a document that gives you the understanding of the processes and how the ballots are done, how they divvy up the code making panels and all of that good stuff. There's the stages. Look, you have amending motion, you have amendments, they have these are all definitions. So these are all your defined terms, right? To tell you what an amendment is, an amending motion is, what a committee member is, all these are all definitions. So let's get beyond that. Here we go. We're in section 1, right? So, authority, you have appeals to the Standards Council. Remember I told you that's your last step. This tells you anyone can appeal to the Standards Council concerning procedural or substantive matters related to the development, content, or issues, right? There's not a technical argument, so that was what we said earlier. There's timing important when you're filing appeals, etc. Establishment, operation of technical committees and correlating committees. So this tells you about the task groups, the code making panels, and all of that. Now I'm going to do this. I don't want to get you dizzy, because I probably should advertise that I'm going to get you dizzy if I'm going to start scrolling. Here we go. This is what I wanted to get to. So there's a table at the end of this, and it's called for the NFPA technical meeting, amending motions and ballots. So it tells you, like, if you want to make a motion to accept a public comment, who's authorized to make that motion, that amending motion? Then remember, these are the notice of intent to make a motion. Then they'll look at the NITMAMs that you or whomever submits, and then they have to certify those. So this says, look, the NITMAM wants to accept a public comment that maybe got rejected at the table. The submitter of the public comment is permitted to make that in the case of a committee submitted comment. See also 45221 in the case of a committee submitted comment. So the submitter of the public comment can make that motion. The amendment changes, and this is what is the amendment or return that results from a successful amending motion. The amendment changes text of the second draft in accordance with the public comment. Then, does the committee ballot on a successful amending motion? So remember, this was, you didn't get what you wanted in the public comment, and now you make a motion to accept your public comment, which didn't get accepted. You're authorized to do that, because we just saw that. If you were made the public comment, you can go to the annual meeting, go to the floor and say, this is what I want. It didn't get accepted, and then it gets accepted at the floor. Then the committee, meaning if it's code panel 1, code panel 2, or say it's not a code panel, say it's NFPA 70B, 73, whatever, that committee would then again review it. What is the recommended result for the text of NFPA standard? If it public comment text incorporated into the next edition. If it fails, the related text returns to the previous text. Where no previous edition text exists, the text is deleted. So, what is the recommended result for the text of the NFPA standard? Committee ballot. When the committee ballot is conducted, they either, this is interesting, the public comment text can be incorporated into the next edition of the standard if they vote for it. If the amendment fails, then the related text returns to the previous edition text. Where no previous edition text exists, the text is deleted. So you're now getting into the ramifications of what you wanted. If you didn't get it, you lose. Sometimes you can throw the baby out with the bathwater. But this table walks you through what happens after the votes here at the annual meeting. All right, so then this is at the end of the table, which is the regulations governing the development of NFPA standards. All right, so now let's do this. We go to the technical meeting. Now the question is, what documents are being reviewed? So if you look at the text for the 2023 annual meeting, in January was the deadline for the notice of intent to make a motion on NFPA 1, and NFPA 1 did not receive any, so now it's a consensus document. March 28th, 2023 was the deadline for the notice of intent to make a motion for the 2023 annual cycle, which includes NFPA 3, 7, 17, NFPA 30, 51B, 70E, 77, 78, 90. Now this, typically from the electrical side, the electrical people will be here for 70E, which is right there, and 70B. Actually, 70B was not even on the agenda because it's the same cycle. It's a 2023 edition of 70B. So, but in any case, 70E, what else? 78, NFPA 1078, NFPA 99, B. These are all of the NFPA standards that will be reviewed. Now, here's the trick. When no NIPMAMs are submitted, the document becomes what we call a consensus document, meaning there were no, what the panel did was accepted by the general membership. Nobody was, there weren't any controversial or issues with the document. So it becomes a consensus document, and it's not on the agenda here because there are no NIPMAMs. There were no NIPMAMs that were certified. So it will not be discussed from a voting perspective here at the annual meeting. It has already been published. 70E is one of those documents. 70B was one of those documents. It didn't have to go through a certified amending motion and be heard at the annual meeting. So 70E is now published and it's out there, ready to be used. So these are the documents. Now, you'll notice it says that NIPMAM 54-2. So what 54-2 means, it's NFPA 54. I think. No, it's not NFPA 54. It's 54-2. We'd have to go look and see what 54-2 is. Yeah, you would think they would give them the numbers. I thought they always, yeah, it did. NFPA 54. Yeah, there it is. NFPA 54 was the fuel gas code. 54-2 was the second. I would have expected to see it in the list. But anyway, subsequent to the NIPMAM closing date, one NIPMAM for 54 was requested to be withdrawn by the submitter in accordance with regulations. Blah, 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 blah. As a result, the motions committee action of NIPMAM 50 will be forwarded to the council for balloting and issuance. So 54 is going to be a consensus document. All right, and then here were some more withdrawn CAMs. So you can say, hey, look, you know, it was a mistake. I didn't want to do that, because here's what happens. The CAM gets, I was just reading right from here. I forgot I didn't have that. So here's what happens. Like in this one here, withdrawn CAMs, eight certified amending motions. So the certified amending, the NIPMAMs will get published. And, you know, if you submitted a NIPMAM, your name's on it. Just like a public input, public comment, your name is on it. You own it. So in many cases, in some cases, not many. In fact, this time there's 8 cases. The submitter goes, you know, for various reasons. It could be that they go, wow, yeah, you know what? I was wrong. It could be that I'm not going to be able to be at the meeting and I can't get anybody to be there for me and nobody can speak on it. So forget it. Because it needs to be, you need to be here at the annual meeting to say, hey, look, I'm supporting and this is my certified amendment motion. This is what it is. And if you can't be here, you got to find somebody else to do that in your stead. So in any case, there were 8 CAMs that were pulled, requested to withdrawn by the submitter. And they were withdrawn. So now the question is, what are we going to be talking about? So if you go to the meeting agenda, the technical meeting agenda, you'll see they're going to start with NFPA 14, and they have CAMs 14-17, 18, and -10. That will be the order that they will look at them. NFPA 45, NFPA 58, 140, 260, 286, and it goes on, and there's 30A. Now, this is the code for motor fuel dispensing facilities and repair garages, and I'll tell you the controversial item there. We'll take a look at what's being said there. But a lot of the debate and arguments are in NFPA 30A are around electric vehicles and whether or not they'll cause a fire. NFPA 99, look at this. NFPA 9, CAM 99, 11 through 44. That's a heck of a lot of certified amending motions, all supported by the same individual. So obviously, this individual is passionate about their position on NFPA 99, and I'm sure there's probably passion on the other side of the table. Usually, if one person is aggressive, someone else who doesn't agree will probably be aggressive as well. So I'm sure that will spark, no pun intended, some debate from the floor. And then there's CAM 99-47. So then you got 101, the Life Safety Code. There's a few certified amending motions, and then NFPA 5000, the Building, Construction, and Safety Code. And then the following the posting of the final report on CAMs, the Motions Committee approved withdrawal of the following certified amending motions at the request of the submitter, and there's their names. As a result, the following CAMs will not be eligible for pursuit during the technical meeting. So, and yeah, I'll tell you in some cases, like the NFPA 99 one, with all of these certified amending motions, here's what could happen. Let's say that you're the individual who's driving, I don't know, say 10 or 15, or maybe just 2, but you have a group of related certified amending motions. If the first one fails, and the second one fails, and then the third one fails, you might go, look, I withdraw the remainder. And they'll call the number, and you can stand at the mic and go, the submitter seeks to withdraw this certified amending motion. So you can withdraw it right there from the floor. All right. So those are the certified. Now the question is, what is the content? Right? So now the content, let's do this. Let's take a look at, what was it, 30A, the code for motor fuel, whatever. 30A, so let's go down to here and find 30A. If I go to 30, and we go to the next edition, not the next edition, 30A, NFPA 30A, www.nfpa.org/30A, and hit go. That will take you straight to the document. And you go to next edition. And here you go. So here is your Motions Committee report, NITMAM, 2023 Motions Committee. And then there's the withdrawal of 8 CAMs. Remember, we talked about that. And if you go over here and you go view, or you can download them, this will show you the certified amending motions. So, and what the submitters are seeking. So there we go. Here's the list. And you can see who put the public who put the certified amending motions in. So charge point, there's Mr. Chisholm again. Wow. Oh, this is an NFPA 99. All right, so these are all of the certified amending motions for everything. So 30A, I was scrolling down a little bit too far. I was like, Dan Chisholm, I know Dan Chisholm's a healthcare guy. And then I looked over here on the left, and it says 99. All right, so this is the entire list of all the certified amending motions. And then what we would do, we could, let's see. What we'll do is we will go down to, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to open this thing in here. Import. And then I'm going to open my Notability. And the reason I like this is because I can search. So if I go to, if I want to search for 30A dash, I don't know, 30 or no, say 30A dash something, search. Here are all of the, let's go to this one. So now what we're doing now is we're seeing this is the, this is the certified amending motion to reject an identified part of a second revision number 8 and any related portions of the first revision and first correlating revision. Let's get rid of this on the side, make it a little bigger. They want to take out that this code shall apply to areas and equipment for purposes of charging an electric vehicle within 100 feet of a storage handling. So it looks like they want to keep the charging equipment away from the storage, handling, and dispensing of flammable liquids or gases at a motor fuel dispensing facility or a repair garage. So I'm sure the submitter's probably going to say, how can electric vehicle charging equipment cause a fire? Let's see where they go. So they want to remove that. And then they show down below that the recommended text if it fails. So that was CAM 30A-5. So now, let's go back to this. Do a search for 30A-5. And that's the only one. So you'll hear his arguments. Now what you can do, let's go back to here. And you can submitter substantiations and committee statements. You see that right there? Now, if you want to see the submitter's substantiations, and if we look for 30, let's do this. Let's take this back over to Notability, create a new note, import, done. Come back over here, 30A-5, right? So we come over here, we do a search for 30A-5. Somewhere in here. CAM 14-7. 30A-5. 30A-5. That's interesting that there's a lot. Here we go. CAM 30A-5. Here we go. Oh, that's 30A-33. I get it. CAM 30A-15. 13. So, yeah, that's it. 30A-5. I was right on it the whole time. All right, so this individual is, submitter indicated that regulating electrical equipment is a source of ignition is not within the scope of the technical committee. Regulating electrical equipment as a source of ignition is not within the scope of the technical committee. The technical committee's scope is safeguarding against fire and explosion hazards, associated storage, handling, and dispensing. This includes potential sources of ignition fire to protect against blah, blah, blah. The deletion of 116 was rejected because it was necessary to clarify that the reasonable safeguards associated with the activity of blah, blah, blah. The purpose of 100-foot requirement is to limit the, okay, so this, the reports and balance results can be found, okay. The submitter indicated that so this is a response from the committee, I believe. Yes, behalf of the Technical Committee on Automotive and Marine Service Stations. Supports the position to delete the scope addition sentence, attempting to regulate EV charging at service stations, repair garages. This scope addition attempts to address the risks of, now this is the submitter, potential ignition source, but those are the primary responsibility committee of the core AAC. See substantiation for CAM 38, blah, blah, blah. The scope of this committee, namely AUV-AAA, is primary responsibility, maybe it should be has, for safeguarding against fire and explosion hazards associated with the general storage of handling without pre-approval of the committee. So coordinating committees coordinate. So this is reason for the scope addition should be deleted and why this doesn't itself create a problem. The proposed scope covers an area within 100 foot of flammables and defines EVCA to the full extent of the output cable in all directions. I've taken personal professional responsibility for design of DC, blah, blah, blah. So this is the submitter speaking. So you can see their arguments. So you have two areas to find, the information for the technical change that's being submitted, and then the submitter's substantiation and committee statements. So what will happen is that first paragraph that we read was from the committee defending what they did. And then you'll have the submitter who's saying that what they did was wrong and what he is or she is saying is the right thing. So you'll have both of that in that document. So that's what will be reviewed from the floor this week. So we're going to go through each of these certified amending motions for all of these documents that are coming to the end of their cycle, right? So after this meeting, after this annual meeting, if the individuals who didn't get what they want still want to pursue it, then they'll have to go to the Standards Council and file an appeal. I had to think there for a second. I was like, what do? They file an appeal. So now let's talk a little bit about what is not going to be reviewed. And that just happens to be NFPA 70E. 70E is a consensus document now. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, just going to double check something here. If we search for 70E, yep, there she blows, Cupcake Island. So I just went on NFPA link and I did a search. Hold on. There we go. I did a search for, if you come down to the bottom, might as well do this together, and you go to view all publications right down here at the bottom, and you type in 70E and return, you'll notice that there is a 70E 2024 edition already in NFPA link. So it was a consensus document. There weren't any notice of intent to make motions. No discussion will be heard here at this meeting. And now you can immediately go out there and start using it. Now, let's talk a little bit about some of the changes that occurred. So one of the things you'll see in 70E is they implemented the NFPA. Remember, 70E and the National Electrical Code both follow the NEC style manual, which, by the way, we have a new edition of the NEC style manual. Let's see if it's on the web. Let's see if it is on the web. If I go to www.nfpa.org/70, let's take a look and see. Might as well do this together. I'll take a look at the next edition. Other committee information. Nope. It's not what I wanted. First draft committee, other committee information. There's the ballots. looking for, let's do current and prior editions. There's errata, additional information, NEC style manual. You see it right there? So I'm going to click it and see what edition's up there. The 2023 National Electrical Code Style Manual, and that is it. That's the latest edition. So we have a 2023 edition of the NEC Style Manual, and they made some changes in here. So I don't have a track changes on that document, and I'm not going to do that. But the point of that is you need to go out and download the new NEC Style Manual, because that will be used in this next cycle. And I understand there are some changes in there. I can't remember exactly what they were, but in any case, go check it out. But so some of the style manual style changes that the 70E experienced were that they moved the definitions to Article 100, which may have already been, I'm not sure if that's as significant or not, but the real significant one was they added a scope to every article. So what does that do? When you had a .1 that wasn't scope and you add a new .1, it changes what was .1 becomes .2 and on and on and on. So there were changes where if you have documents, if your safety manual or whatnot references specific sections of NFPA 70E, you might see some differences in numbering, especially in, I think, Chapter 2. Yeah, Chapter 2. So like Article 205, general requirements in your safety-related maintenance. 205.1 is now the scope, and it says this article covers general maintenance requirements for electrical equipment, and 205. The old 205.1 became 205.2, and on. So the entire article was renumbered. Now, you might say, well, I don't use Article Chapter 2. I use NFPA 70B for maintenance, which you should be. So I'm sure that will be a discussion for next cycle. But in any case, I'm looking down through the definitions and see if there were any big changes in definitions. They added, again, they followed so remember when we look at definitions in the National Electrical Code, if you had a term like arc flash boundary, you wouldn't have it in Article 100 as arc flash boundary. You would have it as boundary, arc flash, and in parens, arc flash boundary. So, and the same thing with the limited approach boundary. So all of your boundary definitions, defined terms, are all in one area. You have boundary arc flash, boundary hearing protection, boundary limited approach, boundary lung protection, boundary restricted approach. All of those types of boundaries are now they're defined all in the same location. Conductors, types of conductors. You have a bare conductor, a covered conductor, an insulated conductor. All those terms are right next to each other in Article 100. So you've got some things like that that changed here in 70E. There's a new term, looks like the electric shock hazard, a source of possible injury or damage to electric. No, I don't think that changed. I think the title of the definition changed. The whole thing's not highlighted. I'm just quickly looking down through to see if there were any new definitions. A lot of changes just in, again, the location of the terms that are defined, and also the format of, so the groupings. Let's take a look at 110. I know so what I would say, I don't know, got about 5 more minutes here. So electrically safe work condition. If you recall, there were, when we talk about establishing an electrically safe work condition and the importance of that, they've been trying to raise the awareness of it. And remember, when you don't have to, when you can't, not when you don't have to, we tried to describe in 70E the whole concept of when you cannot establish electrically safe work condition, what are some of the reasons, and troubleshooting is one of those reasons, right? So they changed 110.2. So 110.1 is scope. 110.2, right off the bat, remember Article 110 and 70E are the requirements for electrical safety related work practices. So you have in 110.2, electrically safe work condition, A is policy, and this is the policy. Again, they're raising the importance of establishing an electrically safe work condition. So the policy, right off the bat, 110.2A, an employer shall establish, document, and implement an electrically safe work condition policy that does both of the following. One, requires hazard elimination to be the first priority in the implementation of safety-related work practices. And then two, it has to comply with 110.2B. And 110.2B tells you when it's required. When it says energized electrical conductors and circuit parts operating at voltages equal to or greater than 50 volts, because 50 volts is that, you have to put these into an established and electrically safe work condition before any of the following work. And they go through all of the following work. And then they put an exception to establishing an electrically safe work condition. Normal operation of equipment shall be permitted, and this is like you turning a circuit breaker on and off if it's properly installed, properly maintained, on and on and on. Exception number two, an energized disconnecting means or isolating elements shall be permitted to be operated to achieve an electrically safe work condition, etc. Energized work shall be permitted where the employer can demonstrate the task to be performed as infeasible in a de-energized state. Exception number four is energized work shall be permitted where the employer can demonstrate, and then the de-energizing introduces additional hazards. Exception five is energized electrical conductors and circuit parts that operate at less than 50 volts. So they made, and they've gone, the committee has gone back and forth on this one. They put this into positive language. Now they put the positive language in emphasizing establishing an electrically safe work condition, and they made the exceptions back to the exceptions again. So, and it's now moved up closer in the document. So, in any case, 70E is a consensus document. All of these changes are available out there on NFPA link. I'm sure you can get the book. I don't know. I didn't order the book. I'm debating on whether or not to order the book. I love paper copies. And here's what I like. Whoops, sorry. Here's why I like the paper copy. I can take it with me everywhere. I don't need to have internet. When I'm teaching a class, I like to have the book in front of me because I try to get, and I like when everybody in the room, in the class, especially 70E, because here's my thought process. When you're teaching somebody something, I don't care what it is, the more senses that you can bring into the picture. So if you can bring touch, smell, taste, sound, anything you can bring into the learning experience helps keep it in there. So if you're trying to teach somebody about personal protective equipment, and you say, look, I've got personal, we're going to put some clothing on. You're going to put your pants on, you're going to put your shirts on, you're going to layer, and you talk to them about personal protective equipment as they're going through the process of donning that equipment or putting that equipment on. Now you are overlaying a physical aspect with the theory. I don't know if it's coming through. What I'm trying to say is coming through. But in any case, when I'm teaching a class, especially on 70E, I try to have the students have the book, and then you take them to the section and we read it together. And if they have a highlighter, we tell them to highlight certain areas of the book. Not that that one area is more important than something else. It's a matter of, in my opinion, of overlaying something physical with the theory and the discussion. We used videos are great because videos, you'll remember the video. We'll use examples. Examples are really good, right? If you can give especially in the classroom, if you can say, look, class, we're going to take a walk over to another portion of the structure. And you look and say, look, there's a panel board on the wall. In this hotel room, and there might be a panel board somewhere in, I don't know, we have light switches. You know, I could show you a light switch and show you the cover that's on a light switch. I don't have to expose anything, but I can physically represent what I'm talking about to demonstrate and show the barriers that we put in place with solutions so that you don't accidentally come in contact with energized parts. So if you are an educator, if you are a mentor, right? We're all mentors. We should be mentoring people. We should be helping everybody. That's what IEI is all about. It's all about mentoring. It's about bringing everybody together in the room, having great discussions and debates together, having an engineer, an electrician, a utility person, a manufacturer, an electrical contractor, all debating and talking about these things. That act of that interaction, that physical interaction of conversing and disagreeing, shaking hands, going out and having a cup of coffee together and saying, you know, that was a really good point you made, and I never thought about that, you know, and that all helps solidify the knowledge into our heads. So hopefully you can appreciate that. But I like the physical book. So you can get NFPA 70E and 70B out there on NFPA link. And there's a place for a link and there's a place for the book. So you're going, in my opinion, you're going to want to get them both. That's what I do. I haven't ordered my 70E yet. So anyway, NFPA annual meeting is going strong. I got in yesterday morning, 5 o'clock a.m. flight, made it here to Las Vegas, went straight to the electrical section meeting. So the electrical section executive meeting, and then we had the electrical section meeting. Really good to get involved in the section as well. And if you're an electrical inspector, there's an electrical inspector section. There's a healthcare section if you're a healthcare professional. The electrical sections, these sections of the NFPA are really great to be involved with. You'll meet like-minded people, all working on same things. Remember, it's all about building a network. We can be successful together. So hopefully you'll get more involved, and you will be involved with the NFPA sections. And here at the annual meeting, you get out there on the floor and you can go to all the different manufacturers' booths. IAEI is out there. ESFI, Electrical Safety Foundation International, is out there. And there are many others. There are many other people who have booths. The trade show floor is huge. And everybody are like-minded individuals talking about electrical safety. So hopefully we'll be able to see you there. So if you're at the NFPA annual meeting, find me. I'm here. Shake my hand. Let's talk. Love to chat about electrical safety and make a connection. I'm a resource for the electrical industry, and you can be a resource as well. So please, hopefully we'll see you here at the NFPA annual meeting. If not, we'll see you next year. And I think next year is in Orlando, if I'm not mistaken. Check it out. I believe it's going to be in Orlando. So if you can't make it this year, maybe we'll see my friends from Florida in Orlando next year. All right, everybody out there, thank you for what you do for the electrical industry. Hopefully you got something out of our session today. Remember, we all have to work together for electrical safety, and every little bit of information can be helpful. So hopefully you chatted it up a little bit. I'm sorry I wasn't able to join live. Maybe stay tuned. Maybe we'll be able to go live from the IEI booth. I don't know if we can get down there and get set up and get internet. Those are key aspects. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for hanging in there for an hour. Thanks for taking your lunch with me. Thank you for what you do for the electrical industry and for electrical safety. Remember to stay safe, and please, please stay healthy. See you next time. See you next Tuesday.